Okay, so we're back. Welcome back to the Friday Night Show. Tonight we have an incredible guest lined up. I'm currently sat with him right now. He has recently starred in the BBC series Vigil, the deservedly nominated I May Destroy You. He was also in the series that gripped the UK a few years back, Dr. Foster, and has starred in one of my personal favourites, Band of Brothers. He's suave, he's sophisticated, he can do it all the attributes to be the next James Bond. My guest this evening is the brilliant Adam James.
Wow, Tom Bradshaw, what an introduction. Thank you so much. The pressure to live up to that. Oh my Lord.
How are you? How are you?
Tom, I'm very well actually at the moment. Yes. No, things are good. I can't complain, given everything that we've all been through. I can't complain at all. Life is okay at the moment, busy and being creative and doing the thing that I love the most. I'm very grateful to be able to still be doing that.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful actually. And I've seen obviously on your social media, you've got a family, haven't you? You've got a child, I believe, and
I do.
And
I have a little 5-year-old with my wife, and I have a daughter from a previous relationship who's now 21 actually.
Wow.
And is she's been having an interesting time navigating university through a global pandemic. It's not ideal. She's up at Leeds at the moment, and her first year sort of got scuppered by all of the lecturers and tutors going on strike for reasons of pay, which is fair enough. And then the second year got completely screwed up because of this global pandemic. And now she's sort of limping towards the end in her final year, but she's still managing to have a pretty good time up in Leeds. I think it's a terrific university city. And actually, I managed to go up and visit her last week because she directed a play that I originated called Bull, written by a terrific writer called Mike Bartlett, who wrote Dr. Foster, of course, and King Charles III. And it sort of came full circle. It was great to watch my daughter direct the student production of a play that I was first ever involved in. It was sort of a nice kind of symmetry there.
Yeah, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree there, clearly.
This is a little bone of contention. She's making noises that she might want to get into the acting world, and I'm gently trying to dissuade her because it's such a brutal industry. But of course, the more you try to dissuade someone, the more determined they become. So let's see. I think I've managed to convince her to do like a master's and rather than retrain for another 3 years after her 3 years at university. But I think also there's part of her that wants to try to reclaim her, her student experience that has been somewhat robbed from her, because of what's been going on in the world.
Yeah.
So I sympathize, but I think she could probably get everything she needs to in a master's course rather than having to train at drama school for another 3 years. But let's see, she's going traveling for a year, so maybe God willing, she might get sidetracked and find something else that interests her more while she's traveling around the world.
Yeah,
if she can travel around the world.
Well, yeah, hopefully, they're looking at all the COVID passports and all that sort of stuff, aren't they? So, it might be that that comes into play and she's able to travel if she wants to do that. So
sure.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it just looks like you're really enjoying yourself, really more than anything on your on your Instagram. You seem to be going out and watching stuff and again and getting back to normal, really, which is which we all want to do. But it's quite nice to be able to see that you're working, but at the same time you're really enjoying yourself. I saw you were at the Royal Shakespeare Company the other week, weren't you? So.
That's right. It's very important for me to go back, particularly to theatre, because that's where I feel like I really started and where I feel proudest of a lot of the work that I've done. I've done a lot of new writing and a lot of theatre. And for me, that's always been a draw. I always try and do 1 or 2 pieces of theatre a year because it's a bit like exercising that muscle in a different way to film and television. And often the writing's a lot better. So it was important for me to get back and do theatre as quickly as I could, and also to get back and support and see as much as I could, because I think we've got to get back. We've got to get back to normal. This bloody virus has caused all manner of problems, and I think the quicker we get back to some sort of normalcy, the better. And I think theatre is a very important part of that. It's a very integral part of any community, and it's a communal experience by the nature of it. And I think that's, important. It was very moving. I did a play recently at Hampstead Theatre. I'd been filming in Croatia, and I got offered this play at Hampstead that I took because, for those very reasons, I really wanted to get back and do some theatre. And what was very moving towards the end of the run, the first half of the run had to be socially distanced. The audience was still having to be socially distanced, but halfway through the run, they relaxed those restrictions, and we were back to sort of full capacity audiences. And we were doing a comedy at the time, which was kind of essential. I mean, the majority of the people still had to wear masks, or were required or asked to wear masks, which is not ideal for comedy, because I think when you're wearing a mask, you feel a little self-conscious to laugh, or it's not as conducive. And then throw in a socially distanced audience as well. It was hard. So that when we were back to full capacity, it was very moving, because what happened is most nights we would get the play. Listen, the play was good. It was a very good production. I was very proud of it. But every night we got a standing ovation, which was lovely and terrific. And I felt was partly because people had enjoyed the play, and it was a great production of that particular play. But more than that, I felt it was a sense that people were really happy to be out together. They'd had an evening. They were moved and they laughed, and it felt that the predominant driver of the ovation and the applause at the end was people like, we're back together, this is so nice. And we did a couple of Q&A sessions, and the amount of people that said this was their first time back out in a theatre was kind of amazing. So it was very moving and overwhelming, and I was very pleased that people are going back and not getting too nervous about being together. I think it's a really important thing. I think we've got to do it.
No, I agree. And when you were saying that, then I was like, yeah, actually that sort of makes sense. People, it's that sense of freedom again, isn't it? And I mean, it's not the same, but it kind of is the same after after the wars, the World War I, World War II. People sort of had that sense of freedom again, and they could go back and live their lives normally. And it sort of is that same sort of feeling again, I think, with this. And we haven't been in a war, but we've been, I guess, with a war of germs, haven't we? So it's it's affected us just the same way, I think.
And I think we're social creatures by nature. So I think it's been really odd to have to isolate and be separate from each other. There have been some advantages, of course. Sometimes it's lovely not to deal with people or the rest of the world. But I think on the whole, it's been a very important thing. And just the basic premise of theatre, of telling stories, or people wanting to be told a story or watching a story being told, is very important. And I hope will always exist. It's been around for a good couple of thousand years, theatre and the idea of storytelling, and I hope it continues to stay that way, and that it continues to be a communal experience. I think it's a very important thing to share together. So I'm happy it's back.
Good. Okay. So a couple of questions. We ask all of the guests these questions when they come on the show. So question number one, it might be putting you on the spot a little bit, but if you could have dinner or drinks with 4 celebrities of your choosing,
God.
who would you pick? Who would be your...
Damn, Tom, that's such a hard question. There are so many. Is this alive or dead people as well?
Yeah, it could be anyone that alive or dead.
God. Okay. Oh, this is tricky. Top of my head, I'm going to say, how many are we allowed?
4.
Whiz. Christopher Hitchens, Grayson Perry. Oh God, I've got to get a brilliant female in there as well, I feel. Oh, isn't that terrible? Just blanked now. I mean, I've got millions, but they're all it's men that immediately come to mind, and I want to have a good broad spectrum there. What women would I really like to spend some time with? Sarah Silverman and oh God,
She's excellent, by the way.
Yeah, she's good. She's good value. Um, Oh, I know. Grayson Perry's wife, Philippa Perry. She's a brilliant woman, an amazing psychotherapist. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
okay.
would be my that would be my four for today. I mean,
Yeah,
it will change, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just I like to hear what people say there, because it gives you a different perspective on everyone. You know, people
Mm.
so, you know, everyone does think, to be fair, everyone that I've asked so far on this season has thought, right, I need to be diverse. I want to have some strong females in there, and males. So but I think that's a a good part to any dinner party,
Well, we've
really,
got a
isn't it?
good mixture of intellectualism, art, humor, and the human condition, psychotherapy. So I think it would make for quite an interesting dinner. Although always having a husband and wife together, Grayson and Philippa, although they are terrific, yeah, that would add another element to it as well, which would be quite interesting.
It would be nice to be a fly on the wall on that one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, no, that's good. And then the next one, drink of choice. What would be your drink of choice?
Do you know, it would be a very, very good French Bordeaux, I'm afraid. I love my claret. So anything like Lynch Barge or Chateau Talbot, yeah, anything really from the left bank. I'm crazy for really good red Bordeaux. From any of the great years. Let me think, what are they? They're all in the fives, aren't they? 2000, 2005, 2015, 72. My year was pretty good, 1970. Yeah, good red Bordeaux, I'm afraid.
Nice. Okay. I'm not a connoisseur of red wine, but yeah, I do like red wine. But yeah, I'm not as understanding of it as you are, by the sounds of things. But that's
Well,
good.
I'm learning, but it was one of the few good things my father handed down to me, which was great jazz and excellent French red wine. He was a restaurateur for part of his life, and those were two of the great things he passed on to me. So yeah, I'm not really a big drinker, but that I would go. I'm happy to spend some money on, because yeah, it's a real joy. A friend of mine described it, and it's brilliant. It's such a great idea that they're actually living bottles of art, because the moment they're bottled, whichever their vintage, and then they sit there and they mature and they evolve and they change. And the minute you take the cork out, you are then ingesting a piece of art, effectively. And I never thought of it in those terms. I thought that is brilliant, and you have to savor it for that moment, and then it's gone. It's kind of brilliant. That little piece of history, literally bottled, and then you get to enjoy it, and then it's gone. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. Never thought about it like that, actually. But that's yeah. I like that. I do like that. Okay, so the next one then. So the best piece of advice that you've ever been given.
Wow, God, the best piece of advice I've ever been given. There are two sort of things that come to mind immediately. One is always try to be kind to yourself. I think we can, I mean, depending on your own conditions, I think we can be very harsh on ourselves unnecessarily and unhelpfully. And then the other great thing that is true is that it will pass. A friend of mine said to me, it will pass. Whatever you're going through at the time, it will pass. But there are moments when you're struggling with whatever, and it can feel like you're in the bottom of a really deep black hole. And these friends are going, it will pass, I promise you. But you're right in the bottom, sort of looking out, going, what the fuck do you know? I'm in the bottom of this hole. Of course it's not going to pass. How the fuck am I going to get out of here? And you just have to trust that it will. And that has been exemplified to me, I suppose, in the last 18 months or so. I don't know. There've been moments where I thought, this is a fucking nightmare, and this is never going to end. And of course it does. And then things become really, really good. And then equally, you know, when you're having the time of your life and things are really, really good, there's always that fear, isn't it? You're slightly looking over your shoulder going, oh shit, when's this going to end? And you just have to accept that it probably will come to an end. You know, life is a series of ebbs and flows and ups and downs. And when you're up, you should try and enjoy it and celebrate it for as much as you can. And when the turn comes, just accept that that's where you are for the time being, and it will pass. You know, it will change again. It's difficult to remember it when you're in the bottom of it, but it's a great thing to tell yourself. It will pass, and be kind to yourself.
Yeah. No, I think there's some, you know, some great pieces of advice. There's one that was at the, you know, earlier part of this season, which was hard work will always outweigh talent. So if you work hard, you'll always get further than someone that's just talented that potentially doesn't work hard. So
Yeah,
I really like that one. I think that's really good as well.
I think
You
that's
know,
true. Yeah.
put the graft in. But yeah, so there's you know, there's plenty actually, and I really like those. That's another one added to the list. And I like to ask that question because there's people that potentially listen to this, and you know, it's a nice piece of word of, you know, advice. And you know, if people are struggling, then they can listen to that and go, okay, take away something from that, and then, you know, move forward. So it's nice. But yeah, so next one actually is the question that I've got is more around working as an actor, obviously, as a well-known actor now. Is it different when you're an actor and you don't have children to when you do? So is it like, do you think more about what roles you would pick? Is it, or does that not, is that not a thing?
It's an interesting question. I think inevitably having children does impact your life, whether you're an actor or not, and you have to make decisions accordingly. Particularly if you're self-employed and the work takes you away for periods of time. Yeah, there are those considerations. Obviously, when you don't have those responsibilities, you've got a lot more freedom to do with your life as you want. And if you did suddenly get a job that took you to, I don't know, Canada or Morocco for 6 months, then that's probably a decision that's more easily made than one than if you've got children. And it also depends what age they are. Are they school age? Are they very young? Can you transport them with you? So yeah, I think that consideration has weighed more heavily recently. But I also have a brilliant wife who used to be an actor, so she really understands the world of it and what it requires. She has since left it and retrained and is now a psychotherapist, which is brilliant on many levels. But she's also been brilliant in factoring in that possibility that if I do have to disappear for a period of time, as I did earlier this year, I was away for 8 or 9 weeks in Croatia filming, that she can function doing her job and also parent in the same way. And I will always be forever indebted to my wife for the concessions that she makes to allow me to do those things. I think as we go forward and as Woody gets older, it will both be harder and easier in funnier ways. And this particular stint away was also dictated again by bloody COVID, because we weren't allowed to and fro as much as we normally would, you know.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, I could have gone back and forth from Croatia many times, and that's kind of normal. Whereas now they tend to want to bubble people so that you know you've got to be away for a period of time. I was in the mix for a new Tim Burton project, which would have taken me out to somewhere in Eastern Europe, and that was quite a long commitment. That was going to be sort of more like 4 months, 4.5 months, with maybe a hiatus over Christmas, and that did give me pause for thought. Given what we just done in Croatia, I thought, no, I'm not sure I want to be away from the family for that period of time. Even if there was a way that they could come out for a period of time, it's quite hard, particularly if you're doing those kind of projects back to back.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to be at home. And recently, you know, like doing the play, it sort of changes the schedule of the household. You know, when you're rehearsing, it's fine, you're sort of working normal hours, 10 till 6. But once the play's up and running in the evening, it means that, you know, things change, that I'm back late, but he still has to get up early and go to school. And, you know, there's always a compromise you have to factor in. But at the moment, we managed to sort of muddle through. But in answer to your question, yes, you definitely have more considerations in terms of what jobs you choose to take and for what length of time when you have got children. What will be interesting is as I get older, will I want to do films or TV shows that he might enjoy more? It's very interesting seeing, lots of famous people getting into animation or sort of kids films, or for the joy of entertaining their own little ones. But I'm not quite at that position yet, I don't think.
Okay. No, it's a good answer, to be fair. Have you ever thought about like writing kids books, or doing anything like that for
I haven't, no,
them,
I haven't as of yet, and I've seen lots of others do and have great success with it. So it's quite tempting, because it's a big market, and if you hit on something very successful, it can be obviously quite a lucrative market too. But no, I haven't done that. We're currently reading the BFG. I read sort of a couple of pages or a chapter a night to Woody, the BFG, and it's great. So yeah, I don't know, maybe in some time to come, that might be consideration. I know David Walliams has had a big success writing a series of kids stories like that, but no, I don't have any immediate plans or ideas to do that.
So speaking of children, obviously, when you were a child, who was your biggest idol growing up? Did you have someone that you really looked up to, that you thought, I want to be like that person?
That is a good question. That's a really good question. It never occurred to me like that. I remember, weirdly, my godfather was an actor called John Pertwee, who was Doctor Who. I didn't know him as well as a Doctor Who, because I think that may have been a little before my time, or I was too young. But growing up, I definitely remember him as Wurzel Gummidge. And there were one or two occasions where he would borrow his costume and he would come to family gatherings at Christmases. I remember at my aunt and uncle's place near Bristol, they had a hotel, and Wurzel Gummidge rocked up, and that was kind of thrilling. It was amazing. And I do wonder if there was some sort of subconscious link there, or something got sparked by that connection, because I do remember doing all the school plays at prep school, and then at my public school as well. And I remember John actually coming to see a play that I did while I was at Clifton College in Bristol. So yeah, that would have been my earliest memory of that kind of connection. But I do remember being obsessed with Wurzel Gummidge and really fancying the girl. Who was the girl in it originally? Was it Charlotte Coleman? I have a feeling it might have been. But yeah, so that, I think, was my earliest memory of sort of characters that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually leads me on quite nicely to to my next question, around just lost that. Oh. Yes. It leads me on quite nicely to my next question, which was when did you realize that you wanted to be an actor? When did that sort of strike you as, I want to make a go of this?
I think probably performing at school, doing a lot of the school plays. I really enjoyed I remember, what did we do? We did something like Toad of Toad Hall at like prep school. And I remember playing a character and getting a massive laugh from something that I sort of had improvised. And that immediate reaction to something that I'd done was really thrilling. And I thought, oh, there's something in this. I quite enjoy the response, the feeling of the response, and the creative input in trying to manipulate or provoke an audience. Prior to that, because essentially I was an only child, I was always sort of performing or showing off, or probably being an awful obnoxious child at like my mother's friends' dinner parties. She had people around. I would do little skits. I remember, bizarrely, there was a group called the Barron Knights. I'm not sure if you ever know or remember them, but they used to do sort of satirical versions of popular songs. And I was obsessed with them for a period of time, and I used to mime to their songs. I remember, awful, just talking about it now, cringe, but my mother and her poor guests would be sitting around, and I'd come down and stick on a tape of the Barron Knights and then sort of perform it. But I guess that's what got me going, really. The tyranny of an only child and desperate for attention and all of that kind of jazz, leading into performing at school. I think that was probably the genesis of it. But I do distinctly remember this production at prep school of Toad Toad Hall and doing something that got a big laugh from all the parents in the audience at the time. I thought, ooh, that's a very interesting feeling. I want to explore that a bit more.
Yeah.
And so I did. I just pursued it, throughout school. And then I don't know. Then I felt like I humored my parents by going to university. I think I already knew by the time I wanted to leave school that I wanted to train at drama school, but I went to university for a year and then thought, no, I really, really do want to do this. And that's when I then applied to various drama schools and took it more seriously from there. But yeah, I think the early doors was, only child and mum's dinner parties and I had these poor guests, and then school. But yeah, it was the sensation of performing and getting that response, that sort of live interaction was very thrilling.
Yeah. No, I I've been in the same situation as a child where you want everyone to, all eyes on you sort of thing, and
Sure.
dancing around the living room, and a couple of your friends trying to perform a film that you've watched, and
Right,
all that sort of stuff. But
yeah, I remember coming out of the
those.
cinema vividly, having watched Karate Kid and wanting to be Ralph Macchio or whoever that actor was straight away. It was so, it was very potent at that age. It's very evocative, and I see it in Woody now. He's obsessed with everything to do with Lego and dinosaurs, and so now that there's like Lego Jurassic World, it's like, and he runs around being all manner of dinosaurs. It's lovely to watch.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's and as you get older, it's nice to see what you enjoyed so much, as a child, and then you see your children enjoy it as well. It's it really is. I've not got any children myself, but I've got a nephew and a niece, and I see them all the time. Exactly the same. It's just it's nice to see the innocence, isn't it? I think is just lovely. So
and play in its sort of purest form, because ultimately that's what theatre and being an actor is. It's just about play. And of course, as we get older and we become an adult, all of that gets knocked back a bit or censored, or we become self-conscious, or there's criticism, and but at this age it's kind of wonderful. It's so pure, their level of play and their imaginations and the worlds they invest in and create for themselves is great. It's really lovely to see.
Okay, so the next question is biggest phone number that you've got on your phone.
What?
Biggest name that you've got on your phone at the moment.
Oh my goodness, biggest name.
Everyone else is going to be offended now, aren't they? When you say someone else and they're expecting them.
God, who would it be? Who have I got? I've got, oh God. Well, I don't know. It depends what we determine as who's more famous than who. Oh God, I don't know if I can. I'm scrolling through. You see, I've got like Catherine Tate, David Schwimmer, my best mate, David Tennant.
David, I mean, they're all big.
Schwimmer's pretty big. Tennant's pretty big. Obviously, Saran Jones. I mean, I have got. I hate to say it. I have got Gary Oldman's number.
Wow,
that's pretty big. Yeah, I've got a few. Maybe Tim Minchin. I mean, James Corden. I've got all the whole spectrum. I would say just scrolling through now, I would imagine Gary Oldman might be the biggest one. I did a film with him, a terrible film ages ago, and we got chatting away about all things to do with theatre, because of course that's where he started, back in the day at the Royal Court in London. But he's massively into photography, and he was showing me all these photographs that he takes, and he'd been working with this guy who then develops them onto this sort of glass plate, mercury glass plate sort of mirrors. Amazing, the scale of them. And he lives predominantly in LA, and I was out there, I don't know, whenever it was, a couple of years ago, and we went out to see some of his stuff there, and it's extraordinary. He's an amazing artist on every level. But
incredible actor. I mean, amazing actor.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So transformative, and he never gives a dull performance, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, that's I mean, that's a pretty big name. Okay, so I mean, what was so obviously we're going to go into, I guess, a couple of the pieces that you've been in. Obviously, I want to talk about my personal favorite, which is obviously Band of Brothers.
Oh right, okay, there you go.
So what was it like working on Steven Spielberg piece? Like, because that's got to be incredible in itself as an experience.
I think the experience inevitably was incredible, particularly telling these people's real life stories. Whenever you're portraying somebody who is a real person, and particularly the stuff that they went through and what they did for their country, was kind of incredible. And I think the scale of it was the thing that was most gobsmacking, even though I was sort of relatively green, because we did that, I don't know when we shot that, I want to say like 98 maybe, 97, 98. I didn't really understand the world, properly in terms of filming, but it was the scale of it was sort of extraordinary. The amount of money that got spent per episode was mind-boggling even back then. And I guess a lot of the preamble I found much more enjoyable than the actual shooting of it, because we all got sent off to boot camp for about 10 days, 2 weeks, down in Aldershot, where we all sort of bonded, and that was thrilling. And then unfortunately, when filming starts, the sort of hierarchies come into place, and we sort of got disseminated in different ways, and because of the scale of it and the time, you could often feel like you got lost a bit. But I remember, like, we had big storylines. I remember myself and Michael Fassbender. Well, there you go. There's another name who's in there. Fassbender and Damien Lewis. We were the machine gunners for the 101st, and we had this fascinating story about jumping into occupied France, but not breaking down our 30 caliber machine guns. We wanted to sort of land in. And it was sort of a lovely story that we shot and filmed. And then obviously, as they edited the piece, stuff had to get cut away and edited quite harshly, because they realized that out of the 25 of us that there were, they could only really, over 10 episodes, follow intensely sort of maybe 10 of those characters. So inevitably, a lot of the work that we did do then got cut away and ended up on the editing floor. So it was frustrating and thrilling and amazing all at the same time. I was kind of grateful not to do the whole shoot, because a lot of people went through all 10 episodes, and that was quite a long commitment. That was almost a year, sort of 8 or 9 months filming. But there was a part of me that was grateful to be done when I was done. I think I did the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then I think my character dies in Bastogne. It was the scale of it was amazing. We shot a lot of it on location at Hatfield. They built these incredible sets. They did incredibly clever things, like one side of a street or a whole series of houses they would build would be France, and then behind them would be Belgium, but at a different angle. I mean, it was kind of extraordinary what they did. And we had a massive old aircraft hangar that they turned into the forest in Bastogne, and all that stuff with the snow in the woods, all in an aircraft hangar. I mean, It's kind of bonkers. So yeah, it was thrilling to work at that level, and obviously to work with Tom Hanks, up close and personal, because he was obviously an exec on it and he directed one of the episodes. And yeah, it was great. It was thrilling, but equally frustrating at times as well.
I was gonna say this as well, because actually, if you look through the cast, I've just got the cast up here, because there's so many names that
loads of before they were famous. So I was like James McAvoy and Tom Hardy, and Schwimmer was arguably the most famous person there, because he was still coming off the back of Friends. But even Damo was relatively unknown. Simon Pegg, so many. Fassbender, of course. Fassbender was, a bit like me. We ended up sort of slightly being glorified extras for a lot of the episodes. So yeah, it was amazing. Andrew Scott rocked up and did a bit.
The
Yeah,
one that I forgot about, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Not even
yeah.
I knew Jimmy Fallon was in it. Was he in
Yeah.
an episode of Band of
Yeah,
Brothers?
he was a lieutenant. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
But
God, don't
that
even remember
shows you
that.
the scope, doesn't it? That you know
Mm,
the scope of people that were in it was huge.
yeah.
But yeah, it's Stephen Graham as well. He was there. So
Yes, I do. No, actually, I do remember Stephen Graham, because Stephen Graham and Donnie Wahlberg were like a little double act. They became sort of thick as thieves. Yeah, they were quite a pair, I seem to recall. But yeah, yeah,
but it's
yeah.
amazing, really. I bet for yourself to look back on that and then think of all those memories as well of like all of these people that you met and now to see where their careers are as well and where they're at. So yeah, that
Sure.
must be amazing to
Yeah, it
look
is.
at.
It was a seminal moment in time. And of course, at the time when we were all auditioning, I don't think there was a single bloke who hadn't been up for that auditioning process, and it was quite a rigorous process. There were endless recalls and hoop jumping and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely a moment in time for a lot of people.
Cool. Okay. No, I wanted to know more about that because yeah, like I say, it's one of my favorites. Tom Hanks
No,
is incredible,
it's a
but as well. But
stunning bit of TV. I mean, it really is, and still holds up to today. I mean, it's I see it sort of endlessly being repeated on various channels, and it's still a very, very brilliant bit of television and an important piece of history to have documented as well, I think, in that way.
yeah, and I think actually as well, it's one of those series that it was up at the same level as a film, and at that time, that was something that wasn't done
That's so
very.
true. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the sort of drive towards TV wasn't as popular then as it was and is now. And you're right, the money and the budgets for TV weren't nearly the same as they are now. But yeah, it broke ground in that sense that it was such an epic piece of television, because I do think that their initial impetus was to make it as a movie, and they realized it was just too big a story to tell in 2 or even 3 hours. So they realized that they couldn't make it as a feature film, so decided to do it as a TV series, and it was a decision well made.
Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, I mean that's great. Then obviously Vigil, which is let's go into Vigil, I guess, because that's one of your most recent projects.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, do you want to give? Most people have probably seen it now, but do you want to give a quick idea as to what Vigil is about? And
well, it's interesting because, of course, I'd worked with the production company and the director and the DOP before, and of course Saran. So I was already on board because I liked the conceit of it, because effectively it was a sort of, you could argue it was another procedural cop drama, just set in a very different environment. And that's what appealed to me the most. I think whenever you present an audience with a new world that's got a new language and a whole new way of being, I think people are just inevitably very curious about it. It's like learning a new thing, a new language, literally.
yeah,
So I had a feeling that it was always going to be compelling in that way, and that the submarine acted as a brilliant metaphor for a lot of what was going on with Saran's character and other things, and throwing great institutions against each other, like Police Scotland against the MOD and the Royal Navy and government and the Secret Services, was always going to be a heady mix. So I thought we were onto something good, but of course none of us could predict it would be as beloved and as popular as it became. I mean, that's where the alchemy of TV and audiences happens, and I don't think anybody knows how to successfully recreate that every time. There have been loads of times when I've been in shows where I thought, well, this is good, but is it going to be popular? Or I thought, no, this is going to be absolutely the one that puts you on the map, and then it just doesn't turn out that way. It's such a curious thing. But yeah, obviously I was thrilled to be part of it. And it was, I think in a funny way, it benefited weirdly from the lockdown. It meant that scripts that weren't nearly ready enough had time to get finessed and polished and redrafted. And it also meant that the special effects and all of the editing had much more time than they would have done on a normal production or a time scale of a production. So I think that all helped the overall show. And I think the BBC and World Productions were very clever as to when they released it. I think that sort of bank holiday weekend at the end of the summer, when everybody's just coming back from holiday and before school starts, and to do the first 2 episodes back to back on a Sunday and on a Monday was kind of brilliant. But yeah, again, we had no idea that it would catch fire in the way that it did.
Yeah, and give everyone 2 episodes, draw them in, and then and then leave them for a week.
Exactly, and then leave them for a week. It was brilliant. You know, in a society that now is so all about sort of instant gratification, it was brilliant that it was like old school TV. You had to wait week on week, and I think that really lent itself to all of that. I think it was good. It probably became a sort of water cooler moment TV again, where people are like, oh god. I like that you couldn't download it all. I think it's good you couldn't binge it. Although, of course, some people then did. Some people deliberately waited for all of it to go down or air and then binge it in one go. Was that you?
Yeah.
Then how did you avoid all the spoilers? How did you not listen to any of the stuff about, you know?
I'm quite lucky because I work from home quite a lot. So when people were talking about this, I would work from home on like a Monday. So like people would be over it by like Tuesday. People would have spoken about it on Monday and they'd be over it by Tuesday. So I'd work from home on Monday and then no one would. And then
on the social medias or press or stuff like that, nothing. You didn't come across anything that gave anything away.
No, I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't go looking for it. So it was it was quite easy to sort of. And as soon as people started to say, "Oh, have you watched?" I said, "No, don't even talk about it. Don't even talk."
And Tom, did you watch it in one? Did you watch all 6 episodes like back to back, or did you do like 3 and 3, or were you like a crack addict sitting on your sofa going, it's 5 a.m. Let's do some one more episode.
Am I going to be judged for my answer here?
No, I'm fascinated to know the answer. I have a sense that you did it all in one go.
Yeah, I did it on a Sunday, so we sat from morning to night on a Sunday and watched all of it back to back. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Wouldn't change it for the world.
I guess that's a unique experience, sure.
But yeah, it's just the like we say, it's the medium of film and TV, isn't it? It's it just draws you in, and it's amazing, and it makes you feel, when you're alone, it makes you feel like you're not alone, and when it can make you feel whatever you want to feel, and it's it's incredible. Me and my partner sat and watched it on the sofa, and we both sat there like, oh, should we have another one? Should we watch another one then? Come on then, let's watch another one. And it was brilliant, and we loved your performance.
Thank you.
Yeah, and when she got locked in, well, hopefully everyone's seeing it now. But when she got locked into that, and we were like, oh, is she going to go out? And then left on that. It was but it was a very, very good series. Really, really enjoyed it. So
good. Thank you.
We're halfway through watching Life at the moment. So
right, okay, yeah.
So that's obviously a little bit older, isn't it? But
it's a little bit older. But what's quite nice about that, or what I enjoyed about it, is that Mike has written. He's like crossed universes. It's a bit like, it's not quite as glamorous as the Marvel universe, but it's the same sort of idea. And I think he quite likes playing with those different worlds. So it's a standalone drama in itself, Life, and it's about a group of people living in a house and that's been split up into various flats, and how their lives cross over and intersect. But what he's brilliantly done is one of the main characters was a sort of secondary character in Dr. Foster, Victoria Hamilton's character, who's now called Bella. And my character, also from Dr. Foster, rocks up about halfway through the series. And I loved doing that because I liked the conceit that you could be in a wholly original new drama, but there's another world that still exists that can cross over. And it was thrilling to do. And it was made by the same production company who did Dr. Foster as well. So it felt very nice to be all part of the family again. And for people who hadn't seen Dr. Foster, it would have made very little difference. The narrative still stood up. And then for Dr. Foster fans, they're like, oh, look at how it's Neil and Anna again, you know, going hammer and tongs. So no, it was a lot of fun to do.
And what I will say as well about that, about you two really in that is the dynamic is just brilliant. You know, the way she is almost like, well, fuck you, and you're like, well, you know, but that is just yeah, it's a brilliant dynamic, and it comes across really, really well on the screen. And me and yeah, again, my partner Neve, we sat there, you know, laughing at so much of that. Just
Sure.
you can almost see a lot of relationships in the way that those two react, you know, and interact with each other, because
Yeah.
there is an element of, you know, couples argue, and you almost see, you know, those little things coming through in yeah, in that, but you also see it sort of, yeah, you're a bit like that actually, and you're a bit like that. So, but yeah,
Well, that is all testament really to Mike Bartlett. That's his great skill, I think, as a writer and as a dramatist. He's got such a keen eye on the human condition and humanity as a whole that he's very brilliant at being able to sort of create that and put it down on the page. He's a brilliant writer. So when you're afforded that opportunity to work with such great writing, it kind of makes your job a little bit easier. And also we've got history together now, you know, we've done a lot of projects, so it's a bit like, you know, riffing with another musician or something, or somebody you play in a band with. You sort of get into that groove a lot more easily. But yeah, I'm very happy to know him and call him a friend, but also, you know, to be able to do so much of his work, because I think he's truly one of the great writers out there.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, great series, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else he comes up with. But the one final question, well, hopefully you'll be in it. So
fingers crossed.
So one final question: what's next? Can you talk about that, or
I can. Well, let's see, what is next? There's a period drama that I think I mentioned earlier. I've been filming in Croatia for most of the summer, called Hotel Portofino, with people like Natasha McElhone and Anna Chancellor and Mark Umbers. And I think that's how best to describe it. It's sort of like Upstairs, Downstairs, or Downton Abbey meets the Durrells. So it's a British couple who have set up a very beautiful little boutique hotel in Portofino on the Italian Riviera, but it's set in the mid-20s. So the backdrop is the rise of fascism in Italy, the trauma from the fallout of the First World War, I think, still plays quite heavily throughout the drama. And then it's about the lives and loves of these guests staying at the hotel. And I think it's very funny and moving. I've yet to see all of it. It's still being sort of edited and graded, and there's a lot of post-production. I did some ADR on it recently, but I think we're going to manage to see 2 of the episodes in December. They're going to do a little screening of it, and it'll predominantly go out in the States first, because I think it's for PBS over there, and then I have a feeling it'll either go on to BritBox here and then ITV later. It'll be like a Sunday night sort of 9 o'clock ITV, but probably later next year, I would imagine.
Nice. Okay.
So there's that, which is nice. It's a sort of a nice period drama. I've got this rather natty moustache in it, which is an interesting look. And then I'm reunited actually, with the Vigil gang. So the same production company and director of photography, and one of my fellow cast members from Vigil is in this new thriller that we're filming now, called The Suspect, and it's based on a book. It's based on Michael Rothbottom's book, and this brilliant writer called Peter Berry has adapted it. So it's it's a 5-part thriller that we're filming, and will be for ITV again later next year, I would imagine. And yeah, we're having a lot of fun filming that with Aidan Turner, and Sean Clifford is in it, Anjali Mahindra, who was in Vigil with me. So yeah, let's hope we can sort of recreate the magic or the specialness that we managed to do with Vigil. I think it'll look terrific, because our director James Strong is so great with all of that, and his trusty director of photography Matt Gray. So Yeah, those are sort of the two things that I'm doing at the moment. There's a new comedy show or a comedy pilot that I shot with Greg Davis at the end of last year that we're hoping has been commissioned for, I think, 2 series. It's just a question of when we can get all our schedules together to shoot it. But I'm hoping maybe next spring we might be filming that, and that's called Safe Space. And he plays psychotherapist and in a sort of small market town. Yeah, no, I think it's very, very funny, but it also has a lot of heart. Again, all that stuff about the human condition is all in there. So yeah, I'm hoping we'll get to shoot certainly the first series of that in the spring, and maybe that'll be out at the end of next year as well.
Cool. Okay. Right. Well, yeah, we're going to go for a little break, and then we're going to we're then going to come back because Adam is going to play quickfire.
Yes, he is. Not sure how quickfire it's going to be.
Do you like to swallow a tasty hard seltzer? Why not try Social?
So we are back. We're about to go into our game quickfire. For those of you
I'm feeling the pressure, Tom. I'm very, very competitive as well. So, oh God, this could go badly, badly wrong.
we're about to make a quick fire. What's going to happen is, Adam's going to answer as many questions as he can inside 60 seconds. He's got to beat the score of 15, which was set by Miss England, Rahima Muthamia. So are you ready?
Okay, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
Okay, let's go. So,
okay.
Favorite singer?
Adele.
Favorite sport?
Formula One.
Drink of choice?
Good red Bordeaux.
Favorite person you've worked with?
With Gary Oldman.
Favorite song?
What's it called? It's by Ed Sheeran. No, it's not. Newton Faulkner. Teardrops.
Biggest crush growing up?
Ooh, biggest crush. Amanda Peet.
Favorite superhero?
Wolverine.
Favorite food?
Minute steak, pommes frites.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Favorite film?
I'm on the Pont Neuf.
Beach or skiing holiday?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
I said.
Tom, keep asking the question.
3,
I said beach or skiing holiday.
0.
Oh, that was it. That's the time. That was the time. So, so what do we get? So we got.
I would, yeah, ski, definitely ski, always ski.
We'll give you that one. We'll give you that one because that was a.
I definitely said that. I probably just said it so quickly and so loudly. Ski.
Let me have a quick look here then. So
that was hard. It wasn't hard. You get brain farts.
Mm-hmm.
Like favorite singer and song and oh God. How many did we get?
Let me have a quick look here. So
Tom, I'm quite tense. Got to beat Miss England. The pressure.
Right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11.
Jesus Christ, Miss England was quick. How fast were her answers?
She was very, very quick. So yeah, she got 15.
Are they exactly the same questions?
Yes, with a few different ones in there as well. So yeah, they change every week. But yeah, because I don't like people to be able to listen to what's happened the previous week and then just try and.
What was Miss England's favourite sport?
Did she have that one?
Oh, you don't have it up there. I thought you might have all the answers up there.
No, I don't have that. Yeah, I don't have their answers. But yeah, she got 15. She smashed it.
Jesus Christ.
Reece Dunn, who's he's a Paralympic swimming champion. He got 3 gold medals at Tokyo, a silver and a bronze.
Amazing.
He was, and he had 14. and then she came in and knocked him off top spot.
Knocked him off the wow, Miss England, fleet of mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you're not in last place, and that's the main thing.
Who is in last place and with how many?
Brad Shields.
And how many did he get in a minute?
He got 9. So
Right. Okay.
you're beating you're beating the Wasps rugby captain. So that's
about right.
That's all right. And you beat Rashenda as well.
Okay, good. Great.
Yeah. So you're around the middle, which isn't bad.
Yeah. No, I'm not thrilled with being in the middle. If I'm honest with you, I like to be at the top, or you might as well be right at the bottom. Middle.
You want to win, don't you? You want to be first place, and that's it. Well, Adam, it's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you very much, and to you too, Tom. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And yeah, hopefully, we can get you back on again soon, because I don't even feel like we've scratched the surface here. There's still plenty of questions that I want to ask you, and obviously we did have a time limit on the pod, but also obviously you've got places to be, people to see. So hopefully we can get you back on again soon, and hopefully next time it will be in person, because we're looking at getting a studio and getting people in face to face. So,
that'd be lovely. Yeah, I'd like that.
But thank you again very, very much for coming on. And hopefully
my pleasure.
We'll catch up again soon, Adam.
All right, Tom. Take care. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
I once interviewed Madonna. I was a virgin, and she touched me for the very first time. Oh my God, that was a great interview.